Good morning, everyone. Hello. My name is Richard Kingdom. I'm from the Farnham Maltings, and I've been putting this day together. And I'm really delighted to be able to welcome you all here this morning. I'm really chuffed, actually, by how enthusiastically everyone's kind of picked up on this idea, which kind of came out of a position of ignorance and curiosity on my part. I've been working in the subsidised sector for 10 years, kind of running a theatre company, running a little festival, programming an art centre, and then working at the Arts Council. And in all that time, I'm not sure if I even met a commercial producer, let alone kind of understood how commercial models of production worked. And I just sort of got getting curious about it, and increasingly so, and feeling like there's maybe some models and tricks and assumptions on both sides that we're kind of the worst for not knowing or not even having that conversation. So that was kind of the impetus for today. And I was working at the Arts Council and I came up with the idea, and they enthusiastically went for it and said, yeah, that sounds like a great opportunity to join some of the dots up and to kind of explore this idea of resilience and more robust business models and all that sort of thing. And so I went to Farnham Maltings and said, are you up for running this? And they said, absolutely, we'd love to, because the Maltings has always been interested in how do we bring contemporary work with an artistic ambition and marry that with a kind of a populist approach or kind of a popular appeal, and to find enterprising and playful ways of achieving that. And I think that's what today is really about. And then I was delighted that UK Theatre and Stage 1 and ITC also thought, this is a great idea, we'd love to be part of that, and they could see the value of it for their networks, and they've been really great actually of being supportive of developing the programme and helping promote it. And then the National as well kind of said, yep, we'll host that, that's great. And I think it's sort of fitting that the National actually have picked up on it, because I think in taking on the kind of commercial end of what they do, they've kind of then got an organisation that spans R&D in the studio through to productions in their main houses, and then the kind of commercial and exploitation through West End transfers, touring and digital dissemination. So it's a really interesting, if you like, provocation to the rest of the sector to go, actually these things aren't opposing camps, they're kind of 2 points on a spectrum, commercial and subsidised, and actually there's a big meeting ground in the middle. And so that's kind of what today hopefully is, it's that big meeting ground in the middle. So I'm really excited by the lineup of speakers that we've got, but I'm also really excited by all of you who've signed up to be part of today, because actually there's some great minds here, and I'm really looking forward to the discussions and things around the main parts of the programme to see where those lead and what kind of interesting alliances and hybrid models might kind of bubble out of today. So hopefully it's about kind of starting a conversation rather than kind of going, should we check in on this? Okay, then forgetting about it. So, and it feels like now's a really interesting time, especially with the tax breaks and things that are coming for theatre and so on, to start thinking about how do we merge these two areas of working. We are live tweeting about the day today, using hashtag SB14, and I'm a bit of a kind of a novice when it comes to Twitter, and I do use it, but I was shown yesterday how you press on a hashtag and then you get the whole conversation, which is obviously like the thing you do with Twitter, but hashtag SB14 to kind of follow the discussion between yourselves and for people who can't be here today. I'm really delighted that we've got a sold out house. We've got lots of people who've emailed saying, oh, can you squeeze this in, and we haven't been able to. So hopefully there is going to be quite a lively conversation on Twitter. So that's my bit. Thank you all for being here again. Hope you have a good day, and I'd like to pass you over to Eleanor Lloyd, who's a producer that, as I was having these conversations about today, increasingly her name kept coming up, and so we were delighted that she's up for hosting the day for us, being our compere. Eleanor's currently overseeing the transfers in the West End of 1984 and Handbagged, among other things. She's constantly being profiled by The Guardian, and also is a producer for people like us, so has a kind of foot in both camps, if you like. Not that they're camps, they're continuing.
Hello. Richard asked me to start today by just kind of giving a bit of context and my thoughts about this event today. When I first started saying, I want to be a producer, which was kind of in the early 2000s, I'd done some work experience at the Royal Court and they'd given me a bit of an admin job, and then I was working as the head of development, the only person doing development at the Gaines Theatre in Notting Hill. And I knew I wanted to be a producer, and everybody that I talked to said, subsidised or commercial, subsidised or commercial. And I thought, oh God, I've got to make a choice, and I've got to make a choice now. And I felt really envious of the directors and actors and creative team who didn't seem ever had to make that choice. They could flip between different projects in different sizes of spaces and different levels of budget with seeming ease. They could do the actors could do a commercial one week and then a really interesting piece of art the next week. So I kind of resisted answering that question for as long as I possibly could. And I guess if I was to answer it today, I would say I'm kind of a majority commercial producer, by which I mean most of the money that I raise to put shows on comes from mostly private individuals who are interested in a financial return. They don't know that there's a risk involved, but that's their primary motive. That said, some of the money that I raise is from funding bodies, from the Arts Council, and I'm often doing the two things at the same time, and sometimes when I'm working on work that's transferred, those two things are kind of inherently linked because the show wouldn't have existed without funding bodies supporting it in the first place. And when I met Richard to talk about today, I was kind of talking through all this, and I kind of talked about an example of, in late March, I was raising money for two very different projects, in very different ways, and they both had their advantages and their disadvantages. So I was trying to was raising £100,000 to put 1984 into the West End. That's my chunk of 1984. I was also trying to raise £15,000 to do some R&D of a project with an actor called Robert Bathurst that's staging of two very beautiful narrative poems. And the process of raising this money was very different. £15,000, I was applying for Arts Council money, which I spent bloody ages filling in form, backwards and forwards, to the point I was sick of it, sent it off, 6 weeks later, got turned down. 1984, I was sitting on the train home actually, it took me about 20 minutes, I sent 7 emails, and I got £100,000 by the time I got home. So, the process of raising money is really different. They're very different prospects, they're very different things involved, but that was an example. With the Arts Council application for Robert Bathurst, I'm currently rewriting it, and I'm going to resubmit it, because that, for me, that's the money that is needed to see if that project has more life. 1984 is a big commercial production in the West End now, so that was a very kind of clear distinction. But it just shows you that your expectations of how easy or difficult those two processes might be, it might be different to your expectations.